Welcome to the Historypedia channel. My name is Peter and today I'm going to tell you about an ancient world history. The ancient Persian Empire, also known as the Achaemenid Empire, was one of the largest and most powerful empires in history. It spanned from the Balkans to the Indus Valley and lasted from 550 BCE to 330 BCE. The empire was founded by Cyrus the Great in 550 BCE. Cyrus was able to unite the various Persian tribes and kingdoms, and he expanded the empire through a series of conquests. He conquered the Medes, the Lydians, and the Babylonians, among others, and established a centralized government with himself as the ruler. Under Cyrus and his successors, the Persian Empire became known for its cultural diversity and tolerance. The Persians allowed their subjects to practice their own religions and customs, and they encouraged the exchange of ideas and knowledge across their vast empire. Cyrus the Great was the founder of the Persian Empire and ruled from 550 BCE until his death in 530 BCE. He was born in the Persian province of Parsa, which is now known as Fars, in southwestern Iran. Cyrus began his career as a vassal to the Median king, Astyages, but he rebelled against him in 550 BCE and defeated him in battle. This victory made Cyrus the king of the Medes, and he then went on to conquer the Lydian kingdom in Anatolia in 546 BCE. He continued his conquests by attacking the Babylonian Empire, which he defeated in 539 BCE. Cyrus was known for his military prowess and his strategic thinking, but he was also known for his wisdom and tolerance. He allowed the conquered peoples to retain their religions, customs, and languages, which made it easier for him to govern the vast empire he had created. Cyrus was also known for his humane treatment of the people he conquered. When he defeated the Babylonians, for example, he released the Jews who had been taken into captivity and allowed them to return to Jerusalem and rebuild their temple. This act is celebrated in the Old Testament of the Bible, where Cyrus is referred to as the Anointed One and the Shepherd of the Jewish people. Cyrus also introduced a number of reforms to his empire. He created a new system of government that allowed for more local autonomy and made it easier for the various peoples of the empire to govern themselves. He also introduced a common currency and a standard system of weights and measures, which made trade and commerce easier and more efficient. Cyrus died in battle in 530 BCE while fighting against the Massagetae, a tribe from Central Asia. His body was returned to Persia and buried in the city of Pasargadae, which he had founded. Cyrus is remembered as one of the greatest rulers in history and is still celebrated in Iran as a national hero. One of the most famous Persian kings was Darius the Great, who ruled from 522 BCE to 486 BCE. He expanded the empire further and created a system of satrapies, or provinces, each ruled by a satrap, or governor. He also introduced a common system of weights and measures and a common currency, which facilitated trade and commerce throughout the empire. Darius I, also known as Darius the Great, was the third king of the Achaemenid Empire, succeeding Cambyses II after his death. He ruled from 522 BCE until his death in 486 BCE and is known for his administrative reforms, military campaigns, and ambitious building projects. One of Darius' most significant accomplishments was the creation of a centralized administrative system. He divided the empire into 20 provinces, each ruled by a satrap who was responsible for collecting taxes, maintaining law and order, and raising troops. Darius also created a postal system and built roads that allowed for easier communication and transportation throughout the empire. Darius was also an accomplished military leader. He put down a number of rebellions and revolts within his empire, including the famous Indian revolt, in which Greek city-states attempted to throw off Persian rule. Darius crushed the revolt and set his sights on expanding his empire further. He launched an unsuccessful invasion of Greece in 490 BCE, which was famously repelled by the Athenians at the Battle of Marathon. Despite his military setbacks, Darius was an ambitious builder and launched a number of impressive construction projects. He commissioned the construction of a new capital city, Persepolis, which became one of the most impressive cities in the ancient world. He also built a number of canals, including the Royal Canal, which linked the Nile River to the Red Sea and made trade with Egypt easier. Darius was known for his religious tolerance and allowed his subjects to worship as they pleased. He himself was a follower of the religion of Zoroastrianism and encouraged its spread throughout the empire. Darius died in 486 BCE and was succeeded by his son Xerxes I. He is remembered as one of the greatest kings of the Persian Empire, and his legacy is still felt today in Iran and throughout the Middle East. The Persian Empire reached its peak under the reign of Xerxes I, who ruled from 486 BCE to 465 BCE. He conquered Greece and led a massive invasion of the country, but his forces were eventually defeated by the Greeks at the Battle of Marathon and the Battle of Salamis. Xerxes I, also known as Xerxes the Great, was the fourth king of the Achaemenid Empire, succeeding his father Darius I after his death. He ruled from 486 BCE until his assassination in 465 BCE and is known for his military campaigns, ambitious building projects, and his role in the Greco-Persian Wars. One of Xerxes' most significant military campaigns was his invasion of Greece, which was a continuation of his father's failed attempt to conquer the Greeks. Xerxes assembled a massive army and navy, estimated to be as many as 2 million soldiers and sailors, and launched a campaign against the Greeks in 480 BCE. The Greeks, however, were able to hold off the Persian forces and eventually defeated them in the famous Battle of Salamis. Xerxes himself retreated back to Persia, leaving his army under the command of his generals. Xerxes was also known for his impressive building projects. He completed the construction of Persepolis, which had been started by his father, and built a number of other impressive buildings, including the Hall of 100 Columns, the Apadana Palace, and the Gate of All Nations. Xerxes was also a patron of the arts and encouraged the spread of Persian culture throughout the empire. He sponsored the creation of a number of works of art, including sculptures, paintings, and tapestries. Despite his accomplishments, Xerxes faced a number of challenges during his reign. He had to deal with several rebellions within his empire, including one in Egypt that lasted for several years. He also faced opposition from within his own court, with some officials and advisors conspiring against him. Xerxes was ultimately assassinated in 465 BCE, possibly by his own son, Artabanus. He was succeeded by his son Artaxerxes I. Despite his mixed legacy, Xerxes is remembered as one of the most powerful and influential kings of the Persian Empire, and his reign marked a high point of Persian power and influence in the ancient world. Artaxerxes I, also known as Artaxerxes Longimanus, was the fifth king of the Achaemenid Empire, succeeding his father Xerxes I after his assassination. He ruled from 465 BCE until his death in 424 BCE and is known for his diplomatic skills, administrative reforms, and military campaigns. One of Artaxerxes' most significant accomplishments was his successful negotiation of a peace treaty with the Greeks, which ended the Greco-Persian Wars. He also allowed the Greeks to continue their self-rule and allowed them to retain control over their city-states, which helped to maintain stability within the empire. Artaxerxes was also known for his administrative reforms. He created a more efficient and centralized bureaucracy, reorganized the satrapies of the empire, and instituted a number of economic and legal reforms. He also established a new capital city, Persepolis, which he hoped would rival the great cities of Athens and Rome. Artaxerxes faced a number of challenges during his reign, including rebellions within his empire, particularly in Egypt. He also had to deal with a number of external threats, including invasions by the Greeks, Scythians, and other nomadic tribes. Despite these challenges, Artaxerxes was able to maintain the stability and prosperity of the empire, and his reign is considered a period of relative peace and prosperity. He was succeeded by his son Xerxes II, who ruled for only a few months before he was assassinated, and then by his other son Darius II. Artaxerxes is remembered as one of the most successful and influential kings of the Persian Empire, and his legacy is still felt today in Iran and throughout the Middle East. The decline and collapse of the Achaemenid Empire is a complex and multifaceted process that unfolded over several decades. There were a number of factors that contributed to its decline, including economic instability, political corruption, internal conflict, and external military threats. One of the major factors that contributed to the decline of the Achaemenid Empire was economic instability. The empire relied heavily on tribute and taxes from its subjects to finance its vast military and administrative infrastructure. As the empire expanded, it became increasingly difficult to extract enough resources from its subjects to maintain its operations. This led to inflation, debasement of currency, and economic stagnation, which weakened the empire's ability to defend itself and maintain its power. Another factor that contributed to the decline of the Achaemenid Empire was political corruption. As the empire became more centralized, it also became more bureaucratic and hierarchical. This created opportunities for officials and administrators to abuse their power and enrich themselves at the expense of the empire. This weakened the loyalty and commitment of the empire's officials and undermined the effectiveness of its institutions. Internal conflict was also a major factor in the decline of the Achaemenid Empire. There were frequent power struggles and succession crises among the ruling elites, which weakened the stability and legitimacy of the empire. This created opportunities for rebellion and disunity, which further weakened the empire's ability to defend itself. Finally, external military threats also contributed to the collapse of the Achaemenid Empire. The empire faced frequent invasions and raids by nomadic tribes from the east and by the Greeks from the west. These attacks weakened the empire's military and sapped its resources, making it increasingly vulnerable to further attacks and rebellion. The decline of the Achaemenid Empire culminated in the conquest of Persia by Alexander the Great in 330 BCE. Alexander's conquest marked the end of the Achaemenid Empire and the beginning of the Hellenistic era. Despite its decline and collapse, the Achaemenid Empire left a lasting legacy on the world, particularly in the areas of art, architecture, and culture. Thank you for listening. Stay tuned.